Yeah, I think we're okay.
Okay, all right, we are live. Hello and welcome to the eBookery African chapter, aka Brain City, where one of our vision is just to encourage more reading, encourage reviews of books, right? And just keep the conversation going around reading and reading and reading and talking about what we've read and actually allowing what we learn from the books that we read to shape our lives and to have conversations around that. So welcome. A little bit about eBookery is that it's for all people and it is a reading group, okay? Some of the things that we stand for, our aims and objectives include bringing readers together through networking across the globe, like we're doing on Zoom. We have people from different parts of the world here. We want to share literature through storytelling. We want to allow our participants, members of our groups, and people who engage with our content to freely, to engage freely and discuss the various book reviews that, we're going through. Also bring up suggestions, point of views, and thought that will help us mold each other better to grow. Also to promote a love for literature as a positive and nurturing environment, to support public speaking and nurture budding speakers. So if you're watching this and you feel like, oh, I like to talk, but you want to train yourself, you want to be in a community where you are given the opportunity to talk so that you can then become better at talking or at hosting or at, just being in front of the screen, then Brain City is a place for you to be. So you can just check the details in this video, or you can reach out to us on Instagram at Brain City and send us a DM and say, you know what, I would like to be a part of your community. And for now, we are hosted on a WhatsApp group where we still keep it a little bit cozy until we become bigger, and then we'll move on to a bigger platform. But I think we also have a Facebook group as well. So you can also be a part of that, so that here we support each other to be better, right? As you read, as you learn, as you expand your mentality by the books you read, you're also being able to practice, to be yourself and, be a better version of yourself and in hosting. So these are many more we do. And we have so many branches, right? This is the Africa chapter. We also have other chapters. We have in India, the Hindi chapter, and we have other ones, right, that you can also be a part of, okay? So welcome, welcome, welcome. Apologies for the time differences. Even we were still trying to figure out the timings, right? This is where we are now in the world, right? Where you can't just categorically say good morning or good afternoon or good evening. You have to say all at the same time. You have to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending from where you are connecting to us from, because the world is now really, really, really a global space, right? We are now borderless. No more borders, okay? And so what a better time to be connected to the world. What a better time to meet people of like mind from different cultures, right? You get to be in a community like Brain City where you get to meet people from around the world. Like you meet somebody from India and you've never traveled to India before, but you can find out what goes on in India and you're able to learn and say, oh, this is how they do it there. So that when you then travel, you're not like a absolute JJC, right? You're not like absolutely new. You're like, this was what my friend in India told me about, right? So this is the power of collaborating, of learning, of being a part of forward-thinking communities online where you can become a better version of yourself, okay? We have people from Kenya. I have never been to Kenya before, but I remember last year, it was on my vision board that I wanted to travel to Kenya, but then Uncle COVID came and disrupted everything. So now, but I'm connected to a lot of Kenyan people. And I know for sure that once I announce and say, hey, my Kenyan people, I'm coming to Kenya, who's going to pick me up? I'm sure there's going to be some fighting, like, no, I will. Somebody will say, no, let me be the one to pick you up. So this is the opportunity that is just right in front of you. So don't stay in your shell. Don't be uncomfortable, right? To come out, to mingle with other people. And that's one thing that I want to help you with in Brain City, okay? And so we discuss book as well. Like there's that quote that a book helps you travel even when you're in the same place, right? Even when you're here, you can travel all over the world just by reading books. And so this is what we do at Brain City, okay? So without further ado, today we are reviewing a very, very interesting book. Woo! This one is so interesting. And we have a beautiful lady. I wanted to say sister. I'm so used to sisters.
Go ahead. Love to be
I'm
a
so used
sister.
to saying sister. Like,
Love your energy.
Thank you. Right. So we have this beautiful lady, Nora Odia Akelo, who's going to be taking us through the book review today. And the book that we're looking at, I need to sit down and go read this book again, right? But it's called Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood. And it's by one of my favorite comedians, Trevor Noah. And see, fun fact, like for reals, you won't believe it. Oh my God, was it? I don't know, but I saw Trevor in my dream tonight. Seriously, like, oh my goodness. Like, seriously, I spoke to Trevor in my dreams. What? Okay, enough. I don't want to be spooky. I'm just going to leave the stage now for our dear Nora or dear Akelo. I hope I pronounced your name right. Yeah.
You did well.
Yeah. All right. So over to you, Nora. Tell us about this book. Would love to hear it from your perspective.
Thank you, EJ. Thank you for the awesome, energetic, hyped up introduction. Born a Crime is basically Trevor Noah's life and how the coupling of his black Xhosa mother and white Swiss German father was literally against the law, like during apartheid. So it's set during the times of apartheid, which started off in 1948. So you can imagine they literally knew it was wrong, but the mom was like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to be bound down by laws made up by people who don't even know what to think about the human, and there's no need for us to conform to whatever it is they say. So they came together with his white Swiss German father, and Trevor was born. So basically, Born a Crime is a story of Trevor coming to age, but still within the story, we see South Africa coming to age from a majorly apartheid-based country to a more liberalized country where Black people begin to receive and exercise their rights. So basically traverses through time, and Trevor Noah gives us a glimpse into his life as a kid, as a teenager, and as an adult. And so many themes go across the book, which you're able to find. And the ones which stood out for me majorly, which were at the heart of it all, was number one, I love Trevor Noah. I love Patricia. I just love her as a woman. I love her as a sister. I love her as a daughter. Like, she was just amazing. Patricia was able to show us that, you know what, if we stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to change the world in a way that I can. Okay, so we see that Patricia makes a stand against oppressive laws in her own small way by literally going out and saying, okay, this is me. I'm going to raise a mixed child, and you're actually going to see it work. And it actually worked. Trevor turns out to be an amazing human. Currently, he's the host of Daily Show. Literally see how that ended. Yeah. So another theme we see running across, which is something that is definitely currently still going on, is racism, colorism, tribalism. And you find that even within racism, you find that the whites, but obviously even within racism, it was colored down to different colors, different shades. If you're Asian, you're put in a different category. If you're Indian, you're put in a different category. And those categories would determine whether you could gain access to education, basic, simple human rights. So that's a theme we still see, even with the recent Black Lives Matter campaign. And it's still pretty evident, and it's something we as individuals need to come out and say, you know what, we're educated, we know how things are, and it shouldn't be like that. Another thing we see is gender-based violence. Trevor grows up, once Patricia gets married to Abel, Trevor grows up around a very violent man who is a misogynist in the real sense of the word. He beats Patricia up. He is opposed to her being more successful than him because, according to their culture, men should keep their women in check. But Patricia, being Patricia, is like, no, I'm going to do what's right by me and my children, and whatever I feel is right goes. So that brings up a lot of conflict. And at some point, because Trevor is the son of Patricia, he also gets in trouble with Abel and encounters child abuse because Abel literally beats him up. And we also see that education plays a big role, and that's a running theme. Patricia tries to ensure that Trevor gets the best education. There's also the theme of religion. Patricia is a staunch. She went to 4 churches every Sunday, and each church had its own message, which she could pick out from. So those were the themes that struck out for me. In terms of lessons, we can see that in terms of lessons, we can see that we are all human, and although segregation still exists, we need to rise up above that and say, you know what, let's actually instead of fighting each other, let's fight the issues, because you find that when it comes to the basic items, when Trevor tries to put into perspective the fact that if all the South Africans could come up and stand against the white man's oppression, they would actually be able to defeat them. So that's basically my review and my view of what Born a Crime is as a book. It was definitely entertaining and educative, because even as Trevor gives his story, he also puts in nuggets of history where there are some tiny blurbs of history embedded within the book, where after he puts into perspective, okay, this is what it was during this period, and this is how I navigated it. So he probably had to learn more languages in the tribals while trying to beat tribalism. He probably had to be able to interact with white people differently, and he probably had to learn how to interact with Black people differently. So he puts into perspective all of that in a very educative and entertaining manner, which just makes me want to read that book over and over again. There were so many instances where I just had to put the book down and let it all sink in. So it's an amazing book. And if you've read it, it's a book you can reread anytime. And if you've not read it, I think it's important that you go and get your copy and read, because you will be entertained beyond your imagination. Yeah, and I think that's it from me. Yeah, I think I'll hand back the floor to EJ.
Amazing. I love it. So I am one of those people who are yet to read this book. And I'm like, why? What am I waiting for? Right? I've heard so much about it, even before it came out and all of that. And I've just been fantasizing about, listening to the audio, because I just want to hear his voice. I know that he narrated it himself, and I'm like, I'm so looking forward to listen to it, because I know I'm just going to laugh my way through. So I am going to get the audio, definitely. I couldn't even get a chance to lay my hands on it before this review, so sad, but thank you so much, Nora, for taking us through that, wonderful review. Are you still here for me to ask a couple of questions before we just round this off, and ask if anybody here wanted, if you're here on the call and you have read the book yourself, you can indicate by raising your hand to share something that, spoke to you from the book that you want to share with us. But before that, just keep doing that. I'll be looking out for the raised hand emoji, or, and then I'll call you to speak. But before I do that, let me just ask this to Nora. Nora, are you still here?
Yes, just setting up my
All right,
Go
no
ahead.
problem. Okay, yeah. So if you were going to recommend this to a young child, to a young kid, right? Because I mean, people, we watch, even as adults, we watch the Daily Show. And for kids who want to be on TV or in the media space, right? Trevor can be that person, you know, they want to look up to because he's so witty, is so deep in his insights, like the way he draws out lessons or thoughts from an ongoing matter, a current issue. It's just amazing the way he puts them together, right?
Yeah.
So would you recommend this book to a young fella? And if you would, what would, you know, there's this thing like when you get a book, just for getting the book sake, just because you want to read, right? It's different from when a book is recommended to you. And so you have a mindset of what you want to get from that book, right? So if you wanted to direct a young lad to read this book, which is a memoir of Trevor, what would that message be for that young lad to say, just read this because this is something, this is a message I need to look out for from the whole story. Otherwise, you might just get carried away by the fun, by the humor and all of that. So what would that be for you?
For me, for a young person, it would definitely be the fact that Trevor was able to make a choice. And young people nowadays, when presented with the opportunity to make choices, they say, oh, you know, because I'm from the slums, there's nothing good that's going to come out of it, you know, because of my situation, you know, because my parents fight a lot, you know, because my mom is... So there's so many excuses youth today get into, and they're like, oh, I can't be successful because of ABC. Trevor actually paints a picture and says, you know what, I came from, I was in an environment where crime was rampant. I was in an environment where my mom got beat up, and to some point, even the stepdad shot the mom. I was in an environment where people didn't amount to anything. Like, we were in the slums and we were put in that place, and no one ever thought, or the word that went around is, you cannot get out of this. This is your life and you're condemned to it. But Trevor said, you know what, no. I'm actually, because of the exposure he had, because the mom continued taking him to places, even if it was just pulling him, lifting him up and showing him through the window and asking him, what do you see? And he'd be like, I see a big house and a dog and some kids playing, you know. So actually being able to expose yourself, not being able to confine yourself to your situations and just saying, oh, you know, things can't change, things can't become better for me because of ABS. Because I'd recommend this book to young people, especially one who's in a tight spot, even during COVID-19 right now. It doesn't even have to be a young person per se. Just tell them, you know what, it's all about your mindset. You can actually get out of whatever situation it is you're in and actually make it. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. The power of choices. You need to be able to know that your situation is not absolute. You can't change it. And that's why people say that when there is life, there is hope. The hope there is that you begin to open your eyes to see opportunities around you. So even though your current situation is not looking like what you see in your head that is possible, but you need to ensure that what you see in your mind's eye, it's realer to you than what you see now, right? And so be able to focus on that picture in your head, which is positive, to be able to pursue it until it becomes your reality. So the power of choice is fantastic. Great one. Yeah, I saw you raise your hand, Rogers. Yes, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, EJ. Thank you for the energy. Thank you, Odia. Thank you for taking us through the book. And also for Neil for keeping us activated about this. Personally, I read the book sometime last year, and it's a good book. I enjoyed it. Apart from the humor, it has some life lessons that we can draw from it. For example, Trevor is a product of a single mother parent. He has been raised by a single mother. So it's something in our contemporary society. If you look today around you, single parenting is not a novel idea, it's everywhere. And it's high time. She was raising the son without complaining, just working hard and ensuring that Trevor grows into a man. There have been a lot of noises, or the kids need father figure, the kids, I don't know what, a lot of complaints. But we see Patricia single-handedly working so hard, training Trevor and correct him whenever he does something wrong from the book. So it's really a nugget for single mothers who are raising sons, who are raising daughters. It's one of books that you need to read. Secondly, Trevor should be an embodiment. Like if you look at his life and the life of youth everywhere, it's just similar. It's just an indication that it's possible. It's just a process. Where you are as a youth, where you are as a person, it's just one point, the starting point. And he exposes us to a life in the slums, in our or what we call ghetto. Sometimes you go. I happen to have interacted with people in the ghetto. I've lived there for quite some time, and how he captures that life, he created an imagery of, it's an interesting life where people are not concerned about the major things that stresses us. You see, I know when you wake up as you are stressed with a lot of things. Oh, I don't have this, I don't have this. But to them, life is, they look for the basics. They have, in ghetto, they have differentiated between the need and a want, and it's basically they go for the needs, what is necessary for them to reach to go through another day. It's not about all these the struggle we have to accumulate, to do this. To them, it's about one day at a time, and I think that is a lesson. Then there is also another thing from Trevor. He works hard. No, he stresses the virtue of hard working. Even with his situation, his condition, he's somebody who sends himself. He goes out, he does, he work to earn the position he is today. It's not something that luck threw towards him. It's something he worked to achieve. So it's a book that also encourages the virtue of hard work. Then humor, it's full of humor. If you look at how he pulls on and covers, puts it on some bag, and in the house, the smells. It's all about humor. So humor is also an important aspect for writers who are members in this platform. You know that humor is a stylistic device that we can really use to make our work interesting and attractive. So he has employed that particular stylistic device. Then it tells you, for us who come from Africa, if you read that book and you read the review that we did about the secret lives of Babasegi, you see the dad, the German dad, the father to Trevor, he has another wife somewhere. It's about, it reinforces the African culture and tradition, which we are trying to run away from because of civilization. You see, for in Africa, having multiple wives is not something new. Maybe it's because of these the new developments in economy and everything that at least this one has really affected the execution of these particular traditions. But it's a good book. It exposes us to African culture. It will make you appreciate the African culture, the growing of an African child. I usually tell people that if you see an African child rising or reach in some height, it's not something that happened just in a day. It's a process. It's been a process. This person has worked, and both the good and the bad moments account for who you are today. And besides exposing us to the African culture, there is this concept of family. You see, Trevor is brought up in the household of the grandmother. There is this African tradition whereby the family, we have close, knit family ties, whereby for us, we don't have a cousin, the title of cousin. Everybody is your brother, everybody is your sister. You just say, my sister so-and-so, my sister EJ, my sister Nora. But with colonialism, there came these new terms like cousins, stepsister. But you see, Trevor in this particular house underscores the value that in Africa is placed on the family ties. So personally, I loved the book, and I would encourage everyone who is in this platform to make an attempt, read that particular. It's a meme written in forms of a humor. If you want to laugh, from page 1, he uses symbolisms, a lot of humor in it. It will, if you will really enjoy the book. Thank you, EJ.
Fantastic. I love it. I love the way you brought it all together. So for those of us who are yet to read it, we're able to look at those things that you just highlighted and spot them in that story and say, oh, yes, I see the value there. Yes. Oh, I can relate with this story. Oh, yes, this is the part where, about single motherhood, right? That it's not the end of the world that you had a child outside of wedlock, but you can still put in the work and ensure that you do everything you can within your power as a mom to empower that child and to give that child a positive mindset and outlook to life, to know that they are not at a disadvantage for any reason, whether by the color of their skin or by the fact that they were poor or anything, but that if there is any picture in their head that they can achieve, they can actually achieve, and they can dream big and become whatever it is that they want to become. Awesome. Do we have any other person on this call who has read the book who would like to share something about it before we round off today's session?
Hi, EJ. Sorry,
Okay.
As Rogers was speaking, he mentioned poverty, and another point came to my mind. And when Trevor started earning money, he realized, you know what, money actually gives you options. Yeah, people don't like money but because of the fact that it gives you options that you can, and Trevor highlights there was a point in their life they actually used to eat caterpillars. Yeah, so you can imagine. And when he started earning money and he could get around and he could buy KFC and they wouldn't have to eat caterpillars for the whole week. So, and he could have a change in diet. So he highlights that money gives you options. And at that point, he decided, you know what, I want to have the option of actually, yes. So he definitely worked hard to actually have those many choices. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
So that's also a nice point to note.
Yeah, I was on a call, like I was watching a call, like a live session a couple of days ago, and this was one of the topic that came up: exposure. The fact that even if your situation is peculiar, that okay, you don't have access to the fund right now, but there are things that you can do to expose your mind to know that this exists. There is a better option. There is more. And so you can aspire to more. But I think the challenge with a lot of us is we just look at where we are and we end it there like, oh, okay, I don't have money. My parents I don't have connection. That's it. And I can't become who I want to become. But then even if you don't have money, you don't have connection, how about you visit your friends who do have money and see what they do, see how they live, and desire to be like that, because it opens your mind up to now say, okay, what do? They work, right? Then I can work harder so that I can also get there, right? But of course, there is the balance of saying they're not doing it all for just because you want to show or because you want to be better than anybody. But like you said, because you deserve to have options, right? You deserve to want to eat at a restaurant on a day and be able to say, you know what, I want to make a reservation, right? And not just eat whatever it is that is available, right? So fantastic point right there. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yes, EJ, if
Yeah.
there is something I just forgot, the issue of identity. When, when Nora Odia was talking about the apartheid and the colorism in South Africa, even the products of these unions, and it's still in Africa, you find that, like personally, I'm born of parents from different ethnic groups. Yeah, so you find that babies products of these intermarriages have a problem. They have a struggle. How do you identify yourself? But for us in Africa, it's clear that a child identifies with the paternal side. So, for example, I'll call myself a Luo just because my dad was a Luo. But in some area where this is not clearly cut, you find that the kids have to struggle with identity. So the issue of identity, if there is somebody outside there that is struggling with identity, this is a good book for you. It will help you. It will take you through the journey. How did Trevor find his identity, his personal identity? You know, being a product of a Swiss father, a German father, and an African mother.
A South African mother.
And
not being accepted on both sides, right? Like he was not being accepted as a white person or as a black person. Like that must be hard on a kid.
Yeah, because he's to us he's so brown. We see him as a white, as Africans. Then to whites, he has hard hair. He's not a white. Yeah, so he struggled with identity issues. Then just to reinforce what I was saying about hard work, there is this quote that is in this book that people love to say, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. I don't know if I can get it well.
Yeah, give him a fish eat for a day, teach him to fish, then something that light, right?
Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. What they don't say is that it would be nice if you gave him a fishing rod.
But
yeah,
that's a good one.
That is where it's missing. You know, and it's a mistake we do. We've been made to believe that it's not about giving the fish. Teach this person how to fish. You may have the skills to fish. You may be a writer, a communication expert, but you don't have a platform. So the road here is, how do you use this particular skill that you have? So it's good to teach a man how to fish, but also give this particular man a rod, a fishing rod, so that he can exercise the skill they have. And that is the problem we have in Africa. You find that we have a lot of potential in Africa. We have professionals, but there are no jobs, there are no opportunities for these people so that we tap on their potential. And that has led to brain drain in Africa. That is why I would prefer to go and work in the West or in the East, and instead of using my skills to develop my my continent. Yeah, so that is also an important aspect from the book that I learned. Then the issue of language is also important. That is closely related to identity. I would urge all of us, let's teach our children our languages. If you teach them your mother tongue, forget about English first. English should be an L2. Make your children learn L1, your language as L1. I think that will help them in finding themselves, the identity we were speaking about. Because if for example, I may be like, if I'm brown, people may say, but he speaks Luo, so he's a Luo. You see, so let's value our mother tongues, our African languages, and let's make our African languages the L1 for our kids, our children. Then English and the other languages be L2. Thank you, EJ.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do not see any hands raised in the on the platform, so I'm thinking, okay, we've all shared. Is Mr. Anil still here? Okay, he's not here right
Anil
now.
is around. Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
I don't see him on the call anymore, but that's okay. So guys, like I said at the beginning, if you want to be a part of the Brain City community, all you need to do is send us a message on Instagram, for example, or you can drop a comment on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube and just say, I want to be a part of the Brain City community. And we're going to send you a link to the WhatsApp group. We're still being hosted on WhatsApp as a small community right now, and we grow. So what we do is also, if you have a book that you have written and you want somebody to, review it, you can share your book with us or tell us about it. Or if you have read a particular book that you think, oh, people need to read more of this book, then you can also come and say, you know what? I would like to review this book in the community. I would like to say a very huge thank you to Rogers, my co-host, and to Nora, who, as you know, who was our guest today to just help us go through the book in a nutshell. If you're yet to read the book, now would be a good time to go read it. With all the amazing lessons that Roger and Nora has pointed out from this book, I am eager. I'm just going to get the audio version now because I am big on audio, right? So I'm just going to get the audio version now and I'm going to go through the book myself. So if you're yet to do that, then do that. And then next week, we'll be back again with yet another book with another guest reviewing a book. Have you for being with us. Roger, you want to say something?
Yeah, we have a WhatsApp group for the members who have attended this, the Africa e-bookery, the African chapter of the Brain City. This particular platform is sponsored by Brain City, but we have the English chapter and the African chapter. So we have a WhatsApp group members. I'll share the link in our in the chat section. We can join and encourage the conversations around books, share a story, so that we can all learn from this. Thank you, EJ.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us this week. I hope that, the 1 hour plus that we spent together has been worth your while. So once again, go get the book. In case you forgot the title, let me just read that out again quickly. That would be, the title again is Born a Crime. Yes. Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood by Trevor Noah. Go get your copy, or you can get a copy of the audio on Audibles, or you can get a copy of the ebook on Amazon. Just get your copy or walk into the nearest bookstore, get your physical copy if that's what works for you, and then go enjoy it. And then maybe you can even get your own friends together and just discuss these things and how you can, incorporate some of the lessons that you've learned. How can you begin to talk about owning your identity, knowing who you are, and just being confident in who you are and showing that forth, right? Or dealing with, limiting mindset and saying, no, my current situation does not define my future. Even my past does not have a power over my future. What has happened has happened. Today can be like this, but tomorrow can be better. I'm putting in the hard work, right? I'm not waiting for things to drop on your laps, but to know that, see, I can work hard, I can work smart, and then get the result that I want to get, okay? So a lot to unpack from this book, and I can't even wait to dive into it and to probably share with my own small community to say, hey, this book is great. Let's learn from it. We all admire Trevor from the screens, but then let's get to know some of his story. I mean, he has sipped some of those story in, through his shows and all of that, but it's just good to hear the full story and to even glean from the mom for moms as well, right? Whether you're a single mom or a mom, a full-time mom, right? But just knowing that it's a lot of work on our part to ensure that our kids have the right mindset and that they are confident in who they are, regardless of where they are from, right? That they can reach for the stars, that it is possible. All right? Thank you so much for being here today. Mr. Anil is back. Do you want to say anything before we close today?
Anil is
Nick,
back, and Nico
someone's
Mondi
hand
has
is
raised
up.
his hand. Nico
Nico
Mondi's
Mondi.
hand
Okay,
is
I
up.
see Nick. Oh, okay, Nick, please go for it. Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we can
Hello,
hear
we are
you.
getting
Go
you.
This is Nick Opondi. I saw the meeting ID on Nora's wall on Facebook. So I've read the book. I read it last year, and it was one of the interesting books of that year that I read. And I wanted to come in early for the conversation, but it seems I'm a bit late.
I think your network is breaking. We can't hear you clearly.
Sorry for that. I just wanted to say that I'm glad to be in the group, and I think we'll share more on the WhatsApp group.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, Nick. Any other person want to say something before we call it a day? The link to the WhatsApp group is being shared in the chat section. So you can click on it to be a part of it, or you can copy it as well and share with your friends to join us. Pascal, your hands are up. Please.
Hand is up. Pascal's hand is up.
Yes, I see that. Pascal, go ahead. Your mic is muted.
Okay, hello everyone.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm happy to be part of this meeting today. I read the book sometime last year, and I think the book is good for helping we youth to transform our current situation as we aim on bigger like objectives. So what I can say, I've been seeing Rogers posting books that should be reviewed, and maybe it normally comes 2-3 days to the review date. So I was asking if you can let members, perhaps who are in WhatsApp groups, to know the book prior, let's say like 1 month, so that like for me, I think reviewing a book that you have read, it can become interesting. Actually, you have some prior knowledge and you have done some lessons. So when you share with others, you gain more, and like reviewing a book that you've not read. So I've been seeing the books I've not read, and I've been not willing to attend the meeting. So today I saw it was Bona Crime, and I was like, oh, I need to get involved. And I think if you can arrange so that next time we can know the book timely enough, some of us can be interested to go for the book.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Pascal. Thank you. Does Joy want to say something? I see your video on. Joy, do you want to say something?
Hi. My name is Joyce. I'm from Kenya, Marsabit to be precise. And I'm glad to be part of this group. And I am willing to learn from you and the rest. Yep.
Awesome, awesome. So happy to have you here too. Yes, we are going to learn from each other. No problem at all. All right, over to you, Mr. Anil, and then we can call it a day. Your mic is mute.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, leaders. We got only, almost time to shift into, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. All right. It's been an amazing time with you guys today. See you next week with another book and another guest going through another book. All right. Have a fantastic weekend. Happy Easter to those of you who celebrate Easter. and would continue the chat on the WhatsApp group. All right, bye-bye.
Hi, EJ. Nice to meet you.
Hello. 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 Good afternoon. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Okay. Okay, good. Hello. Are we in the house? Anybody in the house?
Yes, sir. I'm in.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I guess everybody is a little late, probably. So we'll be starting a bit late.
Yeah, by 9 minutes. Yeah.
Cool.
Good evening, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good evening.
Oh.
Hi, Anil. We should be waiting a little while longer, right, before we start off?
Yeah, just 2 moments.
Okay. Ashisha, welcome. You are doing today's session, right, on book review?
Right. It's my first session, yes.
Yeah.
Great. And rightfully, you have chosen a very interesting book, such a fun age.
Yeah, that's actually a book which came right before the pandemic, and I found it really good and very relevant to today's times.
Okay. Great. Where do you work?
I work in New Delhi at Airtel as a program manager.
Excellent. Okay. And we also have Fasakin. Welcome, Fasakin. You are the first reviewer, I believe, right, today? Yeah, Anil?
Yes.
Okay. So who else have we here? Where is Sanish? Sanish is yet to join?
No, he's off today.
Voice is echoing somewhere at the end. Please log into 2 devices.
Okay.
We are
kule tu bahin.
Salazar, are you there?
Chola Federer. Check the shell. Yeah, trying to.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Major. Can you hear?
Yeah, only now I'm able to hear.
Okay, good. So how are you?
You have any issues in the audio?
No, we are okay.
Into any audio issues?
You are clear to me. I could hear you well.
Perfectly fine. Right.
Good. We have a few new people here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Catherine, who's Catherine? Catherine is there? I don't think so.
We have some audio issues, but go ahead.
What is that, Anil? Not clear.
We can hear you, but with echo. Yeah, go ahead, Sudhada.
Do we start now?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. Hi, welcome all. Good evening. Today we have two reviews lined up of the book Creative Intelligence and Soul of Fun Age. So both are going to be interesting reviews indeed. I welcome all to this session. So as is the customary practice, today again we have a storytelling session. And I have been assigned the task of storytelling today. And I would like to share with one and all one important philosophical thought. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, have you guys ever wondered what is the most powerful weapon? Any takes? Any suggestions? We are in total 11. So at least 10 out there, please do contribute your thoughts. What is the most powerful weapon? Well, the most powerful weapon is the tongue. The tongue has no bones by itself, but however, it is capable, it is strong enough to break any heart, to bring down any relationship, to sever off deep-rooted ties and bonds. And therefore, in English language itself, those who are members of the Bookery Club would know that every day we exchange idioms, which is quite interesting read. So in English idioms itself, we have quite many idioms about the tongue, the silver tongue, the sharp tongue, hold your tongue, keep a civil tongue, and it goes on. Wait, so what does it imply? It implies that whenever we speak, we have to make sure what we are speaking is of value, because words, we cannot retrieve it. We can only forgive the words spoken, but we can never forget them. So before we talk, we need to think, where think stands for THINK, truthfulness, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind. If whatever words we are going to be talking fulfill this think criteria, then the conversation that we are leading is surely going to be interesting, engaging, encouraging, and motivating. But if not, stop. Because it may lead to gossip, and gossip is a menace. It is a very unhealthy practice, and we don't want to fall into it. So we also should keep in mind that the things that we talk also talk about what we are. It actually shows the world what we are. So now let's look at this interesting story. It is based on the teaching of the great Greek philosopher from Athens, originally from Athens, Socrates. He is considered to be the founder of Western philosophy. So I will share with you. Anil, will you do it or should I? The video? Should I?
Yeah, please.
everybody hear and see? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. We can.
So enjoy, please.
You can hear you, Sundara.
So all right, so that was the video. So that itself is a lesson. Everybody can hear? Can you guys hear?
Yeah, we could hear.
All right. So now let's carry on. That itself was a lesson about honorable living. Over to Anil for the introduction of the first review.
Thank you, Sarita. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you, Anil. Carry on.
I could not hear you at all, but yeah. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce two great resourceful people in Hippocrates International. First speaker for the day is Muyiwa Baskin. Mr. Paskin is Africa's leading creative intelligence expert and the first African Advisory Board member of United Nations World Creativity and Innovation Day. Muiwa is the convener and founder of World Change Summit with members from all over the world. He's a certified coach, trainer, consultant, and author of several life-changing books. Muiwa has been 2 times mentor and facilitator at Coca-Cola Youth Empowered Program. The former university lecturer, the lead consultant, and the coach of Sure Success Consultancy and Coaching Academy. The convener of JOS Graduate Summit and JOS Entrepreneurship Strategic Summit. Is one of the lead facilitators of Project Rise, Ohio State and Future Leaders Summit organized by Philo Dorotaway. Award-winning lecturer has also conveyed the United Nations World Creativity and Innovation Year for 4 years. Mia was a resource person for Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, Nigeria for several years. The head coach of School of Creativity, Nigeria. The convener of Teachers Environment and Enrichment, and appraisal meeting and Teachers Upbuilding course. The host of the popular radio program Empowerment for Life on 93.7 FM, and is my coach as well. Welcome on board. Yeah. Hello.
Fasakin, over to you, Fasakin. Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. You may start now, Fasakin.
Yeah. Am I not able to do like projecting or showing any slides because I didn't really know what is expected and how we go about it. I've not attended any before. It's my first time, but I know I'm supposed to review the book Creative Intelligence. So I'll just tell you about the book, what makes up the book, and why the book is important and relevant at this day and moment, and generally about the book. I'll just like to say, then if you have questions, I can take questions. I don't know if that is okay. Is that okay?
Yes, it is. Carry on, please.
Okay, that's good. So once again, I'm going to greet everybody. And my name is Muiwa Fasakin. I'm from Nigeria. I'd written a book called Mastering Creative Intelligence many years before I wrote the new one. I think that one came up about 2015 or so. That's Mastering Creative Intelligence. Then I reviewed it and upgraded it to Maximizing Creative Intelligence. I think that should be about 2018. I came up with Maximizing Creative Intelligence. 2018 to 2019, I released 2019. Okay, now, so the first thing I tried to make people know in that book is to know that creative intelligence is the combination of creativity plus intelligence. That means you are adding creativity on one side and you are bringing in intelligence on the other side, and you are adding it up together, called creative intelligence. Now, so the first thing I did was to make people understand what creativity is. Mr. Thomas, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Mr. Thomas, are you talking to me?
No.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Can I continue? Okay. So it's a combination of creativity and intelligence. So bringing the two together makes it creative intelligence. Good. So what the question I asked there was, what is creativity? And creativity is very simple. Is the ability or process to bring on new ideas, new values, new solutions. Okay, bring into existence ideas, solutions, values, situations. That's creativity. Now, we don't have one definition for creativity. We have so many definitions for creativity, including your own definition, because we cannot define creativity in a one way. If any attempt to define creativity in one singular way does not make it creativity again, because creativity comes up what you think about something, and it cannot be one way, it can be several ways. So creativity, in my own definition, is just bringing into existence ideas, values, solutions, and all that. And that's what I made known in the book. Some people think creativity is connecting the dots, connecting the ability to connect dots. That's as simple as that. Okay, so everyone is creative. So I in that book, I made us know I think the first chapters, I made us know that everyone is creative. I said about 5 things or 6 things that people don't know about creativity. So the first thing I said about creativity was that everyone is creative. I like to say it here very emphatically here too, that everyone is creative. Okay, so the problem might be you don't know you are creative, or you do not engage creativity, but everyone is creative. The second thing I said about creativity is that we cannot teach creativity. Creativity is discovered and developed. Nobody comes to say, I want to teach you creativity. No, it doesn't work that way. But you can help somebody discover the creativity in him or her. So creativity is better discovered and then developed, but not really teaching, because it's in you. So we don't expect you to be taught. You have it already within you. So everyone here, you have creativity within you. So what we help you to do is to discover it, then you develop it. Number 3, we said creativity cannot be acquired. It can only be accessed. It can be acquired, it can be accessed, because it's within you. So you just need to access it, not acquire it. Number 4, I also said that curiosity precedes creativity. My creative intelligence class today, we'll be talking about the law of curiosity. I think Mr. Thomas will be around there. Now, we're talking about the law of curiosity by Dr. Nubani. Now, curiosity precedes creativity. Did you get that? So if you want to be creative, or you want to engage creativity, you've got to be curious. You've got a lot to ask questions. That's how to become, creative. Number 5, I also said that creativity is life and light. Creativity is life and creativity is light. Now, creativity gives you life and creativity gives you light. You must understand that, okay? I also said that, that's number 6, that people that are creative, they say they are consciously crazy. Have you heard people say you are crazy before? When you say you are crazy, it's not that the person is abusing you. It's not that crazy is not an abuse. I think I need to point that right if you want to be creative. Crazy is not an abuse. Nobody's abusing. Hey, you are crazy. I think it's a compliment. If I'm told I'm crazy, I say, wow, I love it. I should be crazy. If the world is resting on crazy ideas. What do you say about Elon Musk's electric car? That's crazy. Going to the space, living in a space is crazy. So creativity comes with a degree of being crazy, but of course consciously, and you get crazy. because if you're going to be creative, you're going to come up with crazy ideas, crazy innovations. All right. So that's what I said in a lot of the chapters of the first chapter of the book. And I also spoke about the benefits of, I shared on the benefits of creativity. I gave about 5 benefits of creativity. And, if you engage creativity, if you apply creativity to what you do, number 1, I said, it makes you to make more profitability. When you engage creativity, you're going to make more profit than the others. Others that are not creative doing the same business that you do, you will make more profit than them because you're engaging creativity. That's the power of creativity. You create the profit you want. You bring on the profit you desire. That's creativity. Number 2, when you're creative, I said, you will be productive. If you see anybody productive, the person must be creative. There's a very powerful relationship between creativity and productivity. The more you're creative, all other factors held constant, you've got to be productive. Okay, so there's a direct relationship between creativity and productivity. The higher your creativity, the higher your productivity, all other factors held constant. Okay, then creativity helps you to be relevant. If you want to be relevant, then you've got to be creative. So creativity helps you to be relevant. Wherever you are, you can be relevant if you're creative. Another thing I said is that creativity helps you to be distinct. So it brings along distinction. Creativity creates distinction. If you're going to be unique, if you're going to be different in what you're doing, then you've got to be creative. Number 5, I said creativity brings on helps you to have what we call competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is the edge you have over others in the same field, in the same market, and all that. So that's some benefits of creativity I mentioned in that particular book, Maximizing Your Creative Intelligence. Let me run a little bit ahead. Now, I spoke about the 5 C's of creative intelligence. Now, before I went to the 5 C's of creative intelligence, I made us to know, okay, I talked about the 5 C's of creativity, or you say creative intelligence. But let me say the meaning of creative intelligence is just the application of creativity. It's as simple as that. Creative intelligence is the application of creativity to whatever you do so that you can get an optimum result. Okay, if you want to generate an optimum result, creative intelligence helps you because it's the application of creativity. And the definition I gave in that book, one of the definitions I got was creative intelligence is the ability to go beyond the existing to do, you go beyond the existing to create a new or novel ideas and values and all that. So when you go beyond what is obtainable to achieve the attainable, we call it creative intelligence. So creative intelligence helps you to do more, the extra, more than is expected, because you're going to go more than is attainable, or more than what is obtainable to what is attainable. Okay, and 3 things I always tell people, I said in the book, and I'm going to say here about creative intelligence is the number 1, the objective. I said 1, creative intelligence helps you to move from work to competence and competence to accomplishment. Everybody wants to work, fantastic. Everybody wants to get into a vocation, lovely. Everybody wants to do a task, fine. But the truth about that is that you must be able to move your work to competence, because competence is what the world is looking for. But beyond competence, the world is looking for accomplishment. So creative intelligence helps you to translate your work to competence and moves your work from competence to accomplishment. Then number 2, creative intelligence helps you to identify complex problems and solve and provide solutions to complex problems. So you're going to identify problems, complex problems, then you solve complex problems. Then thirdly, creative intelligence makes you to be result-enabled and result-driven. That means you will be driven by result and you'll be enabled to get result. That's what creative intelligence will always do for you when you apply creativity to get optimum results in whatever you do. So there are 2 models. I'll be moving towards the middle part and the latter part now, where I discuss the model. There are 2 things I discussed. That is, how many minutes do I have left, Thomas? How many minutes do I have left so that I know how to plan? Please unmute. Let me know how many minutes I have left so that I will not take all the time.
5 more minutes. Sorry.
How many minutes?
5 more.
5 minutes. All right. So, I brought up a model. There's a model I invented called the RAPTED model. I'm sure Thomas has the book. There's a RAPTED model towards the end. And what the RAPTED model is about is how you can leave the crowd. I observe crowd effects problem. Everyone gets to find himself in a crowd at one point or the other. If I ask you a question now about the field you belong, are you the only one in your field? No. We are so many doing the same thing. We are so many doing what you do. You're a doctor, so many doctors. We are a lawyer, many lawyers. You're a banker, so many bankers. So there's a crowded situation. So the model of creative intelligence, which is a RAPTED model, RAPTED, is a RAPTED model, helps you to leave the crowd. It takes you out of the crowded field, out of the crowded job you find yourself, out of the crowded environment you find yourself when you use the RAPTED model. And the RAPTED model is simple. I can't explain it because of time. R means redefine. If you are going to leave the crowd, you must learn to redefine. Number 2, if you are going to leave the crowd, you must learn to ask questions. Ask why, ask why not, ask how in some cases. That's people within the crowd don't ask questions. That's why they remain in the crowd. If you're in a field and you have been there for 20 years and nobody knows you in the world, nobody knows you in your country, there's a problem. It's because you are within the crowd. So the best way to leave the crowd is to apply the RAPTED model of creative intelligence, which I've applied and stands me out as one of the leading creative intelligence experts in the world today. It's because of the application of RAPTED model. So R is redefine situations, redefine events that surround your life, redefine all the definitions that have guided and shaping your life up to this moment, redefine. Number 2 is ask questions, RAPTED, ask questions. You must learn to ask questions, question the environment, question the natural, question the unnatural, questions living thing, question on living thing, question yourself. Ask everyone questions so you can leave the crowd, because the more the questions you ask, the more you leave the crowd. You've got to leave the crowd, but you must ask questions. Number 3, P is pay attention to details. The difference between those who are making it in this world, quote and unquote, and those who are backward is some pay attention to details and some others do not pay attention to details. Now, the more details you pay attention to, the more you leave the crowd, the more you become an expert in your field, the more you become better than your colleague, the more you leave your field and become a superstar. If you pay more attention to details. Number 4, T, take risk. Learn to take risk. If somebody said if you want to take the lead, you take the risk. The more risk you take the lead, the more that you lead the team. So you must learn to take risk if you want to take the lead, okay? So that's T. Then the next one is E. E means to evolve. To evolve means gradual development. If you're going to lead the crowd, you must have faced a lot of trouble, failures, rejections. You face rejections, you face failure, you face disappointment. But all these events in your life makes you to evolve, to become a better person. And the last one is disrupt. Disruption is breaking the natural order. It means you deviate from the regular, you deviate from the conventional, and be unique in what you do and take over, take charge, take control of the field you belong to after disruption. Now, this is the RAPTED model and is to solve the problem of crowd, being in the crowd. So if you're going to lead the crowd, you must engage the RAPTED model of creative intelligence. At the last end of the book, I talk about the laws of the creative intelligence, but that can go for now. So that's basically the summary of what creative intelligence looks like. But the most important thing I want you to note there is that creative intelligence is the application of creativity to everything you do. And you know the World Economic Forum says creativity is one of the top 3 skills needed to succeed in this century. It means the future, somebody said the future belongs to those who are creative. It means if you're not creative, there is no future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
I'm good.
That was very interesting indeed. Curiosity is the first step of creativity. Wherever You're required to think out of the box. Wherever you're required to innovate, creativity plays a major role, and it is inspired by curiosity. That is what makes you think out of the box. And like he rightfully said, it increases productivity, it increases profitability. Even in business, it applies. When you when you really create something out of the box is when your profitability and productivity increases, no doubt. And the last concept of rapture, interesting indeed. I would invite somebody else who is there in the audience. Let's call on Utpal. Utpal, are you there to give us a review, a feedback on the review? Anybody who would come forward to give us a feedback on the review?
So Lata, let's call Kamal sir.
Hello.
Okay. Welcome, sir.
Hey. Welcome. Thank you. Just a minute. Let me on.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you. How are you?
All good.
Yeah, I'm doing well. We are all doing well.
Great, Pasakin, about the creative intelligence. Yeah. And the things which I like is about the crazy. Love to be called crazy, and I believe in that, and love to be called crazy to do something different. And just note it down, like, and the beautifully you have define the rapted, redefine, ask the questions, pay attention to details, take risks. These are the things which, evolve and distributions, disruptions, So these are the things, like, if we take it, like, the life will be different. It will be really a creative one. So great. Great about the creative intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamal. That was quite revealing, because you made me think, yes, creativity is crazy, because early days we had that notion, whenever somebody is creative at writing, whenever somebody is creative in doing the fine arts, they will have crazy locks, unkempt hair, crazy locks, crazy style. Overall, creativity does induce an element of craziness in people, no doubt. Someone has captured it right. Anybody else are to call on?
Yeah, we
really
need to call a few more people, Sulata.
Can I
maybe,
can I give my impressions?
Please
yes,
do,
sir, of course.
I'm unable to come on video. Yeah. Creativity is intelligence having fun, people said. And as has been rightly said by Mr. Miyaso, you can't use up creativity, because the more you use creativity, the more you have. And I really like the way that he said creativity involves breaking out of established patterns in order to look at things in a different way. And I would strongly believe that the desire to create is one of the deepest yearnings of the human soul. And create is all nothing but our thinking in motion and having different types of different streams of thought. The creative adult is a child who always survives, people said. And the way you're able to narrate, and I really, I'm totally at loss of words, because Miwa took us through a wonderful evolution of creativity. I'm so happy that in a very, very short time, he has been able to sound. And one thing, this last acronym, which I said, if you can kindly chat after your talk is over, so that we can also learn the acronym. I thoroughly enjoyed the session, Ms. Miyawa. So kind of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayanji. Miyawa is my personal coach as well.
Oh, fantastic. That is news.
That is the secret. That is the secret of Anil's creativity, right?
That's good.
That explains it. Right?
Yes, but sorry. Can I mention something? Can I mention something?
Please go ahead.
Now, I didn't mention that many people confuse creativity and innovation, and I explain it in my book. Creativity is not innovation. But you cannot be innovative without being creative. So the first step is creativity. The next step is innovation. The next step is entrepreneurship. So you go creative, you go innovative, then you go entrepreneur. So that's how it goes. So creativity is conceiving the idea, conception, that's creativity. But innovation is implementation of the idea. So we cannot see your creativity, but we can see innovation, because it's when you implement what you have in you that will relate with you. So if what's the name? Solata Francis, I'm trying to call my sister. Solata Francis says, I have an idea to write a book. Good idea, creativity, but that's not innovation. Until we see the book, until we can hold your book like this is innovation. But as long as it's in your head and in your mind, that is creativity. So creativity is conceiving the idea, innovation is implementing the idea. And when you go to the market to offer the innovation, you are into entrepreneurship. So that's what I want to make. Thank you.
Well clarified, Fasakin. Yes, the first step is always a thought that comes in your mind, creative thought.
Yeah.
That's a trigger of everything else. Well explained. Thank you so much. Anyone else, Anil, that we have to call on? Shyamala?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Shyamala, are you there? We would like to hear your thoughts on creative intelligence.
Let's call
Shyamala,
Ashisha. Ashisha is there.
Yes, Ashisha.
Let me hear from Ashisha.
Yeah, I really found this a very fascinating concept. You know, like you manufacture creativity out of thin air, and he was talking about it's there in everyone. You know, it's not like he's a creative person and she's not. So there's no distinction. And as he mentioned, there are certain steps using which you go to the entrepreneurship level. So that's pretty nice because, you know, at an age when people think that, you know, the left side of his brain is creative and he will not be able to get into business. So, you know, to mingle the art with the business is something which I really found amazing about his session. And I'm sure about Fasakin's book would be as amazing. Because, you know, people often differentiate between, you know, art and business should not should not be together. And here is him bridging that gap. So I think that is the best takeaway from this.
Thank you. Well explained. It's really a different side you know, enlightened now. Shall we move on, Anil, to the next session?
Yeah, maybe Solata, you can take feedback from Rajamani sir as well.
Rajamani sir, are you there?
Rajamani sir, are you in?
Would you kindly come on screen? We would like to hear it from you. Rajamani sir? I don't think he's...
All right, let take him little, yeah.
So over to you, Anil, once again for the next.
Sure. Thank you.
Intro.
Ashisha Chakraborty. Ashisha has written for the Riddomania, Book of Erotica, Romance, Historical Fiction, Mythology, and Crime. Short stories have been published in various Riddomania anthologies. Her articles have appeared in the Hindu. And she has freelanced for websites like Being Cyrus. Her poems have also been selected in Kafiya, the Delhi Poetry Festival. Thank you for coming on to eBookery platform, Ashisha Chakraborty. Welcome on to our platform.
Thank you so much for the very warm welcome. And I really liked, first of all, the idea of people getting together just for the matter of discussing books, because that is something which people don't take out the time for. Books are something which has really, slipped from our minds or from our attentions. So first of all, an applause to all of you for taking the time out to give this creativity and reading and understanding each other importance. So thank you so much for being here. Before I start, I would just do a very small exercise with everybody. So I'd like you all to fill this little form, And I just want to gauge your interest about you like an ebook better or an audiobook or a paperback. And I'll tell you why at the end of my session. So the book that I'm going to review today is Such a Fun Age. So this is by Kylie Reid, and she is a very popular author. She's a debut author. So I'll just share my screen and you'll be able to see Kylie Reid herself. Can you see? All right.
We can see, Ashisha. Go on.
Yeah. So this book is very special because she wrote it while she was still getting her degree, and she's somebody who was working towards getting a master in fine arts, and she went through a couple of different professions before hitting it on this one. So Such a Fun Age is interesting, not just because it is set in the contemporary times, and not just because it was longlisted for the 2020 Booker Prize, but also because it deals with very sensitive issues of racial prejudice, which still exists in the US. So she was working as a babysitter for a couple of years in Manhattan, and she realized that people really try to be, the savior. And there are times when you don't have to be things don't have to be criminal exactly to qualify for racism. I mean, there are black shootings all the time. But this girl wrote a story about a 26-year-old babysitter cum student called Amira Tucker. And this girl is taking care of a 3-year-old kid called Briar. Now, Briar's mother, Alex, is a famous and a wealthy blogger. Now, she blogs about really influential issues and she's popular. Suddenly, they go to a grocery store and this African-American girl is held for no fault of hers. The guard stops her and the guard says that, this baby is not yours. Why are you having her? And this small thing, this little thing is very hurtful. It hurts her pride. It hurts her identity. She does not know why she's being looked at with suspicion despite being born in this country. So that is the state of immigrants even today, sadly. Now, how this story proceeds is how we talk about racial bigotry that is deeply entrenched in the white mindsets. And even if it's not really the criminal way, sometimes even there are subtler signs through which people make it very apparent. For example, Alex tries to be extra nice to her, extra sensitive to her so that she does not make a complaint and destroys her reputation. So coming to this, we find at the end of the book, we realize that this girl is not considered to have a mind of her own. So somehow some wealthy blogger and the wealthy white mindset thinks that they are kind of saviors, that they have a lot of hold over somebody's future, their fates. So this is something, the best thing about the book is that it is such a fresh perspective. It is not about someone a normal racial hierarchy or something which goes on normally. It's about something which we don't really realize in the usual day-to-day things. And I really like this book because it's like a slice of life. There's no hardcore violence or hard-hitting philosophy. The book tells you on a daily basis that, people receive crappy treatment and they are forced to accept it. There are things which aren't really tagged as crimes, but they won't be justified either. And things can really get ugly. You know how we've come across Indian families sometimes who act like benefactors of their servants, giving them food and clothing and money, but they will never give them the respect or acknowledgement. They will never let them enter, say, the kitchen or a certain arena of their, home, because they feel that, that's a servant. He or she has their own place. So that hypocrisy is very well depicted in this book. But there's another reason why I love this book. Well, I love this book because Kylie and I have some parallels. Of course, I'm not even a patch on her, but Well, I started writing my debut work around the same time that I started my degree, and it was about 2018 when I began to submit it. And sadly, her book got published right before the pandemic struck, but mine is still in publication, and it will, I think, take about a year more to get published. So I like the fact that this woman has really made it big. And so the book that I'm going to talk about now is my upcoming paperback that is by Rupa Publications. So it's about the misadventures of a sales girl. So, this is about a 25-year-old girl who is suddenly uprooted from Delhi, where she's lived all her life, and she's sent to South India, or specifically Chennai, to work in the domain of sales. Now, those who've never worked in sales, let me just give you a heads up. Sales is not a kid's, it's not a cup of tea. It's not a cakewalk at all. And especially for a woman to make her, presence felt and to understand how to get through all the manipulative factors and the fiercely competitive environment, and especially heavily male dominated territory, is really, really tough. And somebody who has been, in sheltered and, born and bred in a sophisticated environment, it's even worse. So this story is, of course, majorly taken from my experiences. I had worked in sales for about 3-4 years now, and I started from Chennai. So from Chennai to Chandigarh to Ahmedabad and even to Uganda, I worked for about 3 years, particularly in the domain of sales. And there were a lot of things that we come across which are very, very new, which you won't be able to understand and you won't be able to handle, because it's just not that easy. People will try to make the best of, your abilities. The reason why we start writing, is because you want to express and you want badly to be heard. And because I was an introvert and I wouldn't easily talk about my issues, so of course the pen was the answer. So this book that is tentatively titled The Misadventures of a Sales Girl is so because it explores the concepts of being the only woman in a sales department, and additionally being thrown in a state of which the person does not know the language. So this novel is definitely very close to me because it also deals with the Me Too movement, where sometimes the situations are far too real to be ignored. But then there were some funny moments as well. It was hilarious on many counts as the new sales rep learns the cheat codes, the ground formulae, how to make her way into places, use the gift of the gab. Oh, well, it was quite a fun journey and I had fun writing it. And I hope the people who read enjoy reading it. So, however, there's one more thing. So the reason why I sent you all this survey was because I wanted to understand how much have ebooks entered into our lifestyles. Because once this book was already in the works, I decided that ebooks and probably audiobooks are kind of in vogue more, because every day we don't have the time to read full volumes, 600, 700 pages. That's very difficult. You just open your phone, open a book and start reading. I read a lot of ebooks. I just finished a couple of audiobooks myself. So the second book that has just come up is Mother Tongues and Their Shapes. So yeah, this is for middle grade school. And if you're into ebooks, then this would come before my paperback. And this latest one is coming out by the middle of this year. The title, as I said, is tentatively Mother Tongues and Their Shapes. And why is it so? Is because it is about language, particularly language as it has evolved as a divisive factor today. I remember this small story because when God, I think it was in the biblical references when God wanted to when the humans wanted to get to paradise, and they built a huge tower, the Tower of Babel. And then suddenly God didn't have to do much. He just introduced language and nobody could understand what the other person is saying, and that's how people could not get to heaven. So it's that easy. So language is that important. And today, instead of unifying the society as it was initially supposed to, it sometimes becomes a divisive factor. So when a 13-year-old girl, Ayana, here migrates from Bengal to Delhi, she realizes that a culture shock is not the only torment in store for her. The concept of how differently you speak, the way you utter the words, the way you say things can determine your position in a community. And this concept is so undervalued. But as a child, it can wreck your psyche. Childhood is a precious gift, and it should be peppered with the right values. And it's very important to give equal importance to all the languages, because the regionality of every language holds the importance of it. And that's the reason why I really love this concept of e-bookery, because it's not just for English, it's for all kinds of languages. So I think that's it almost. I'll just share my screen once more to, if anybody wants to, connect with me offline. So give me a second. So these are some of my works, some of my short stories that I've written before on different platforms, some poetry and some short stories. So yeah. And if you want to connect with me, it's ashisha.com, AASHISHA.com, or I mostly go by the name of the_mind_bin on Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook. So I'd love to have you all, I'd love to have you all connect with me. And I hope you fill the survey so we can understand what exactly works for you all. And it was great to be here. I would love to take questions.
Lovely it is, Ashisha. We are quite interested to get to read Misadventures of a Sales Girl, where you have captured the difficulties being a woman, a girl, a young nubile girl entering into the business market, what she walks through, the difficult patches in her life. So I can very well align my thoughts to that, because I'm also in the business world, not exactly from sales though. So it'll definitely be an interesting read, because yes, even as we sit and talk and analyze books, there are a lot of authors, female authors out there, yet the world is not open to women empowerment or women coming out in the social domain and voicing their thoughts. Yeah, you get snubbed often, and I can very well relate to that. And the second book about that the languages, the difficulty of adapting from Bengal to Delhi, fantastic. That I think many of us can relate to it, because living in India, we have about 53 languages, right? That we have.
Probably even
yes, probably even more. And Hindi, although by large everybody is using, we have different languages. And the story about Babylon, the Tower of Babylon, fantastic. It was one thing that the Lord did to divide the people, that the Babylon will never materialize. And even in India, that's exactly what is happening. Languages become a divide,
Absolutely.
So unifying language is very, very important. So let's move on. Let's listen to what others have to say on this. I can see Vishwanathan sir has joined.
Ashisha, you thoroughly got us hooked, Ashisha. If I could spare a minute. And I was really taken aback by the way you've been able to be so expressive. And the connect you brought all the way from Calcutta, Delhi, Chennai, Ahmedabad, and beyond, proves that you're truly a polyglot. That is how we bring such people, especially for the love of reading and for the powers of expression. And you're so articulate. That is what the Brain City is all about. Bringing great speakers like you. And your message immediately resonated with me, because I've been staying in different parts of the city where you had said, all the cities I spent most of my life, and I've been able to integrate my own self, forget about the gender. And as I would say, life for the other gender is quite difficult. For ladies, especially in the sales world, it's entirely difficult. And I like to commend you on the way that you've been able to hold your own and then come up triumphs. I wish you all the very best. And you're so articulative, so powerfully emotive and expressive. And I would like to ask a question. How many languages do you know? And are you so effectively in all these languages?
That is a great question. If I'm talking about the proficiency, I think English, Hindi, and Bangla would be my proficient languages. But I know a basic level of, say, Spanish, French, and Tamil. So it's a very weird combo. I probably don't even know that.
Ashisha, I want you to speak in Tamil for a few.
So I will not be able to speak. So I know probably Tamil Teriyada and Tamil Terima, something like that. Oh, I've almost forgotten. I spent some time in Chennai about 3 years ago. I've really forgotten, but I used to know these words because my colleagues, were in Tamil. So yeah, I will do a coaching again. I will do a re-coaching before.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you, Major. So that was very wonderful of you. Lovely words. And Ashisha, you should not, lose track of Tamil. Tamil is the oldest language.
Yes.
I'm from Kerala, but I've been in Tamil, and I really now also I engage with my Tamil Nadu friends so much that I never forget the language.
That's amazing.
Lovely language it is. Wonderful language. So who else? Gunashekaran sir. Who else? Anybody would like to come forward? Ankit. Ankit has joined. Ankit.
Yeah.
Kindly share your thoughts on this platform, please. Ankit, you can unmute yourself and open the video.
Joined, so I've just joined, so I don't think I'll be able to add much.
Okay, no worries, no worries. So we will, for the next review, we will catch hold of you. Coming back to Kamal sir.
Yeah. Very good, Ashisha. I like the way you have presented all the three stories. Such a fun age, and then your own sales girl story. And even I could really able to relate to how a sales job is very difficult for a male person. But yeah, from your thoughts, I can really imagine how it's toughest job for for a girl to or for a female to go and do the work and to manage this. So very good, and what to say, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In fact, Ashisha, today you did a review of 3 books.
Actually, yeah. But 2 of them are not in the market yet, so I will not count them.
Such a fun age. Kylie Reed, that was original one. That again talks about racism, which is predominantly prevalent in the US. And that was also an interesting review that you have done in a very short verse and in a few slides you have done with it. Anybody else? OnePlus and Pro. Who is OnePlus and Pro? Would you kindly come on the screen and give us your review? OnePlus and Pro TT.
Yeah, we have Gunnar sir also. Probably he wants to say something.
Gunnar sir,
Yes,
please, sir.
yes. During the earlier part of my career, I was in sales, and I'm from a village and growing to a metro. I could really feel what you could have felt, the anxiety, and moreover, sales for ladies, it's a really tough job, and meeting people and the locations, going to different places, and I really feel for that, and I can really sense what all that your feelings. Thanks for that, bringing back the memories, and you are speaking very nice Tamil too. Thanks for that also. Bye.
Oh, that's really nice of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We have Mohammed here. Mohammed, would you want to come forward? I don't think so. Back to you, Anil.
Yeah. Thank you, Salata. Thank you, Ashisha. Okay, let me ask you your input on ebook English.
So I
What's
said
your
that
feedback on it? eBookery English platform.
So I really, like the fact that everybody comes together once a week, or I'm not sure how frequent this is, maybe once a month or twice a month, to just talk about books. Because as I said, that a lot of Netflixing, a lot of Prime, a lot of these quick binging options have removed the slow and more lasting effects of reading a book, which people are not really going back to. So this is really good. This is quite a fun platform, and it would be even fun if people, at a kids level, school kids also started doing this, because it would be really fun for them, and it would be at that impressionable stage, this would be even more effective. But this is a great platform, not just to bring people like us together, but also to widen your horizons, because every day, Monday to Saturday or Fridays, we're working or doing something or the other. One day when you relax and not think about anything and just listen for a change to someone speak. So that's a beautiful experience, I think. And I really commend the initiatives that you've taken up. This is a wonderful initiative, and I would love that if you continue with this. This is really, really great. It's more like a community which has been made up, more than books, it's a community that we're talking about. So it's a great thing. It's a great community effort.
Thank you, Ashisha.
So, Ashisha, any thoughts on how more members can be added to the community?
Yeah, sorry.
So definitely, I think more and more people from different walks of life can be, taken up. And all, so maybe today we talked about creativity as a topic, and today we talked about probably sales as a topic. Maybe have a theme every month, that this is a theme that we're going to follow. I think this is also, April was also the poetry month, National Poetry Month, and a novel writing month. So there's a November for a novel writing month. So there may be different months which eBookery can have, and people who are interested can definitely come up. You see how TEDx happens, where people just come and discuss about a certain theme. So I think this is an online version of how you guys are taking it forward. So I think this is slated to be very, very successful. So awesome. I mean, all that we need to do is bring people from different walks of life to join this.
So Anil, with your permission.
Ashisha, how are you going to help us on this?
So I think every few months, if we come up with certain themes that, this is a theme that we're going to do, or even take the ideas from people, the community itself. What would you like to hear? Who would you like to hear? And then bring those people together on the platform. I think that would be a fun idea. And not just that, maybe have certain contests, small contests that, this is the speaker of the month or speaker of the year or something like that. Because I remember I have workshops. I conduct a couple of workshops for writing, and the best story, we try to send it to a publisher who publishes it. So I'm not sure how that works here, but something similar can be done probably.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashisha. We can very well, in this few words that you have said, we can very well make out you do have a lot of ideas, so to be tapped. So Anil, she is one resource we should not be letting easily off.
Oh, of course, I'll be happy to be a part.
Welcome indeed. So do we have someone else who would like to pitch in a word or two? Yeah, right. Yes, Ankit.
Okay. Guys, girls, we need more strength. Ankit.
100%. We are only 10 at this point
I agree
of time,
with you in full. Okay, please elaborate a little more.
So I agree. Everybody over here feels this is a good platform and a good initiative, but somewhere we need to have more and more people getting benefit out of the initiative by joining and getting likes of more people. So I believe on the speaker front, we are doing a good job by getting speakers across the spectrum. And as Ashisha mentioned regarding the themes of the book, we've touched upon various themes, self-help, financials, marketing, creativity. I've been associated with the platform for quite some time now, so I know that the kind of books that we've touched upon. But somewhere as a community or as an effort, I believe we need to do something to get more and more people, join this and get benefit out of it and make this a much more platform to contribute in each other's life.
Yeah, Ankit, totally agree with you. I take it on me.
One more thing, Anilji. Our posters play a very important role. So if you get the posters 3-4 days or 1 week before, that will be very helpful to get circulated on our social platforms, Insta, Facebook, etc.
I'll make sure that.
This time we got this poster
7 days in advance, right?
Yeah. So that will be very easy for all of us to cascade it to multiple forms. And in our Brain City umbrella also, we have different platforms where we can circulate it and well in advance so that people can join.
All right, Kamalji, I'll do that.
Great thoughts, very contributory thoughts from everyone around. Although we are only a short numbers, very small number now. This is more like a reader's cafe, now we cannot connect. We are in different parts of the globe, and the pandemic has also hit us bad. So despite being in our homes, we are still able to connect like a reader's cafe. So yeah, the strength does matter, but even in a cafe, most of the time, hardly the people would turn up. But definitely, yes, we need to pump it up a bit, beef it up a bit. Let's all of us take the initiative. At least, each of us bring two. Each itself is a good number. So we'll strive towards that. We will strive towards that. Anything more to add on before we wind up the session?
Thank you so much, Sulata. Guna sir, do you want to add anything more?
Nothing, sir. Nothing.
Right. Okay. Keep quiet, Sulata.
All right. So thank you very much to each and every one of you for taking the time and effort to be here with us in Book Club. We look forward to the next session of eBookery. So till next Saturday evening, signing off. Bye-bye. Have a great evening.
Take care. Thank you. Take care. Ashisha, Kamal sir, Guna sir, Ankit, and Rajam sir. OnePlus 8 Pro. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.